Moriah Wilson was 25, a former competitive ski racer from Vermont who recently emerged as one of the world's top gravel cyclists. She was in Austin, Texas, to compete in a major race when she was shot 3 times in a private apartment. The resolution seemed remarkably swift. After 2 hours of deliberation, a jury handed Kaitlin Armstrong a guilty verdict and a 90-year prison sentence. That gavel drop is exactly where the mainstream documentaries stop. But the legal system's version of closure rarely matches reality. We need to look at the actual aftermath. A bungled police release, a fugitive who bought a new face, millions deliberately hidden, and a central catalyst who walked away completely free. To measure the true cost of this tragedy, you have to read past the final verdict and check the real-world ledger of consequences. Following the murder, police identified Armstrong as a suspect and brought her into an Austin station for questioning. This diagram shows the specific clerical error that allowed her to leave. On the left is her date of birth in standard police records, and on the right is the date listed on an outstanding misdemeanor theft warrant. Because of that discrepancy, investigators were legally required to release her. She walked straight out of the station. Within days, she used her sister's passport to board a flight and flee the United States. For 43 days, she disappeared into Costa Rica. She checked into accommodations under multiple fake names, cut and dyed her hair, and underwent plastic surgery to reconstruct her facial features. That evasion finally ended when a federal manhunt led U.S. Marshals to track her down at a beach town on the Nicoya Peninsula. This flowchart illustrates her financial evasion. Anticipating a civil lawsuit, Armstrong transferred her financial assets out of her name, moving them to relatives and Colin Strickland. The court recognized this maneuver as a deliberate attempt to render herself judgment-proof before a civil verdict could be reached. She utilized administrative mistakes, international borders, and financial transfers to outrun accountability until the system finally caught up. Then there is Colin Strickland. He is the central moral catalyst of this tragedy, yet he has simply continued his professional cycling career. Strickland engaged in a pattern of calculated deceptions. He had a brief romantic relationship with Wilson while separated from Armstrong, but when they reconciled, he hid their continued contact. He saved Wilson's phone number under a fake name, deleted their message threads, and lied to Armstrong about spending the day with Wilson on the afternoon she was killed. His lies created the conditions that fueled Armstrong's jealousy. But because deception is not a crime, Strickland faced 0 legal consequences. Contrast that with the Wilson family's continuing fight. They filed a $15 million wrongful death civil lawsuit, specifically designed to prevent Armstrong from ever profiting off her story through book deals or television rights. This animation shows the reality of their legal victory. Because Armstrong successfully scrambled her assets before the trial, the family's judgment falls against an empty financial account. Collecting millions from an incarcerated person with no income is practically impossible. The law is rigidly structured, which makes it remarkably unequipped for the nuances of human tragedy. It has no mechanism to punish a moral catalyst, and it struggles to untangle hidden money, leaving grieving families with massive victories entirely on paper. In January 2026, the Texas Third Court of Appeals denied Armstrong's appeal, which effectively exhausted her final legal options in the state court system. Her reality is now confined to the Dr. Lane Murray Unit, a women's prison roughly 160 kilometers from Austin. She earns between 10 and 85 cents a day through the standard inmate wage system, serving her time in a facility with no air conditioning during Texas summers that regularly reach 40 degrees Celsius. The woman who crossed continents and reconstructed her face has gone completely silent. She has given no interviews and made no statements, and she will remain in that facility until her earliest possible parole in 2053. While Armstrong's timeline is frozen, the rest of the world has moved forward. The cycling community continues to race, navigating courses and celebrating victories that Moriah Wilson will never see. Justice in this case means 90 years in the Texas heat for the killer, nothing for the man who lit the match, and a $15 million piece of paper for parents mourning their daughter. The verdict is real, but the closure is a myth.